We are 11 days into October as I record this, and I am not even slightly ready for NaNoWriMo. Hello, my name's Amy and welcome back to the channel. Now this is of course going to be a Preptober vlog. I am in the midst of outlining 3 books potentially, with a view to writing one of them for NaNoWriMo this year, or at least that was the plan I set out in my last video, and whilst I am trying to stick to it, it has been very slow going. The priority at the moment is finishing the outline for Project Immortals, my epic fantasy. Now this outline is nearly 5,000 words at this point, and I think I'm probably only halfway through it. This really is what is slowing me down. I have been working through the character arcs for the side characters and the antagonists, and I realised how much more I needed to know about them all. There is a huge amount of backstory in this world, as there often is in epic fantasy, and it colours the events of the plot of the book. So at the moment I'm spending a lot of time just filling pages and pages in my notebook with ideas and possibilities, and I'm trying to string everything together into some kind of logical order. But that means that the outline is not really getting any longer. I haven't written very much that is concrete that I can actually use to write the book, and it feels like I'm just wading around in a sea of information and trying to make sense of it all. I am reasonably confident that things will come together before NaNoWriMo, but I don't know if I'm going to be at the stage where I have multiple outlines to pick from. If I can just get one finished by the end of the month, I will be very happy indeed. So that is where we are sitting as we start the vlog. Let's get to work. It is a very cold morning, the stove is lit, I'm just about to put the slow cooker on. Honestly, it might be not quite mid-October, but it feels like winter has arrived already here. There was frost on the ground this morning, blue skies overhead. It kind of feels like December. I did manage to get a good chunk of outlining done yesterday. I worked through loads of notes on Project Immortals and answered a lot of questions I'd set for myself about character motivations and why certain antagonists were doing the things they were doing and what they were doing when they were off screen. So I'm feeling much more confident about the plot as a whole and how everything ties together. And I'm now back to the stage of working on the outline. It's up to just over 5,000 words. I'm thinking at this point it's going to be about 10,000 by the time it is finished. I don't expect that to happen this week, but I am really happy with progress so far. I have said in previous vlogs that I've never used the snowflake method before, and that I have basically picked the most difficult project I could have chosen, in that this is a large epic fantasy in a new setting with new characters. It is the start of potentially a 9-book series. This individual book has 2 main point of view characters, but at least 2 or 3 others who pop up from time to time. There are lots of moving parts. It's having to set up a lot of backstory and plot for later in the series, and this first book is likely going to be 160,000 words long. And this is what I have chosen to learn how to outline with, which is, to be honest, my typical modus operandi. So I haven't made life easy for myself, but I do feel like I'm learning a lot, and I'm hopeful I'll be able to use the snowflake method for future books to really speed up my writing process. But for now, let's just focus on finishing the outline for Project Immortals. It is Friday afternoon, and I am honestly quite glad that the week is is coming to an end. This week has been absolutely packed. Either I have been working in the house or I have been shifting yet more rocks in the barn, which seems to be an absolutely endless task. But I have pretty much just not had a free minute to myself this week, or certainly not during the day. So I have been squeezing in my writing in the evenings where I can, but it's really hard to concentrate at 8 o'clock at night when you have just done a full day of work. And honestly, if you count parenting as well, I have typically done about a 12-hour workday by that point. So I am doing what I can. I added another 500 words to the outline last night. I do feel like I am making good progress with it, although it is definitely slow and steady at this point. I am still working on the arcs for my secondary characters, and a couple of them are giving me some trouble. Two of the characters were introduced to the story very early on when I didn't really have much of a plan, and I felt from the beginning that they needed to be there. But I've realised that I never had a very concrete plan for why. So both arrive in the story within the first 20,000 words. Both do have something of an arc so far, and they definitely have strong backstories. But I'm not entirely sure what they're going to be doing for the second half of the book particularly. So I need to spend a lot of time working on their stories because they are important for the plot, and then I can get back to carrying on with the outline and actually getting ready to write this book. I am aware that I could just remove these two characters from the story or give them much smaller roles, but I'm a firm believer that you can make nearly anything and anyone fit in a story if you just develop them enough. So with a bit more work, I am absolutely certain that these side characters will become completely integral to the plot. Their small roles will expand, they will help develop the world or the backstory, or their plot arcs will add something thematically to the greater whole. I do definitely feel they need to be there. I'm just not entirely sure why yet. So the weekend ahead still looks busy. We have a kid's birthday party to go to tomorrow afternoon, and it has actually been a bit sunny here this week, so it would be nice to make the most of that. And I've just got to keep going with this outline. We are creeping closer to the middle of October, and I do not feel even slightly ready to write this book yet, which is a little bit alarming. Good morning. Monday has rolled around again and I have another busy work day ahead, but I did do some significant work on the outline for Project Immortals over the weekend. And in fact, I did quite a lot of that work last night. We had a really busy weekend, including a birthday party for one of my daughter's school friends, plus there was work to do in the house and we did a couple of walks. So by the evenings I was pretty tired and I probably didn't do as much outlining as I would have liked, but I did sit down quite late last night and just look over the outline again, and I found that one of the arcs for a secondary character just completely flowed. I'd stopped writing it about halfway through and I just suddenly knew what the other half was. So I wrote about 500 words last night. The outline is now sitting at about 6,000 words and I only have one secondary character left to work out. I suspect I could actually leave this secondary character for now. They already appear in the first third quarter of the book and I know what they're doing up until the midpoint. After that, I'm not quite sure what role they play. I'm sure I will find a role for them, but I haven't worked it out yet. But if I have to, I can just write the first half of the book and work out their role later. The final step of the snowflake method is to take everything you've worked out so far about your plot arcs and character arcs and put it all together into one giant 4-page outline. Now, I suspect my outline is going to be significantly longer than 4 pages because this is a really long book. We have got 2 main point of view characters, 3 secondary point of view characters, and 2 antagonists, and I have worked out plots and arcs for all of them. And the snowflake method suggests writing half-page arcs for your secondary characters, and nearly all of mine are twice that length. So the outline, when it's complete, is going to be massive. But to be honest, I think that is just what I need for this book. And starting that is really the next step. So that is what this week is going to be about. There is a final step in the snowflake method where you can write a list of every scene you're going to write, but I don't think I'm going to bother with that. I think I would prefer to develop my scenes as I go so that they flow a bit more organically. That is just how I prefer to draft. It is when I have tried to break scenes up in the outlining stage that my books tend to feel a bit stilted. And also, I believe the creator of the snowflake method does say on his website that he doesn't make the scene list anymore. He just writes from the narrative outline. I've got 2 more weeks of Preptober to go. I'm looking forward to getting this outline finished because I do have other work to do. I would really like to write another outline by the end of the month for my science fiction thriller, but I don't think that's going to happen because I do need to read the first 2 books in the trilogy before I write the 3rd outline, and honestly I just don't think I'm going to have time for that. But as long as I have something ready to write for NaNoWriMo, that's really all that matters. I would love to know how your nano prep is going. Please let me know down in the comments. I will hopefully do 1 more Preptober vlog before the end of the month, and then of course it is time for the main event. I am both apprehensive and excited about NaNoWriMo this year because I haven't done it for a couple of years. I am feeling very rusty. I also haven't drafted anything since the spring, so this is going to be quite the challenge. So tell me how your prep is going and then please stick around. I will be back soon with another video. Until then, keep writing everyone, and I'll see you next time.